YouTube. He was like a YouTube star before like YouTube stars were a thing.
Right. Okay. Yeah, but it was two black guys. One was Mario, one was Luigi, same actor. When arms wide open.
No.
Under the sunlight.
Can we talk?
Hey.
Okay, let me stop.
Hey.
Welcome to another episode of Can We Talk, y'all? Oh, we got the whole crew together today. It's your boy Eric, and we're here with
Today's
Anthony.
an anomaly, ain't it?
Yes, we got Anthony, Shayna, and Nicole all in one day in one studio, and I'm excited to be back. What's going on, y'all?
What's going on?
So, it's you got the bell out today.
I don't know if this thing is. What happened to my thing, man? My sound
We
machine.
need to get the sound
My
machine.
beat machine. So we're trying out a new format today. Tell me what we doing, Shayna.
Oh, we're just gonna do a free for all. We're gonna do current events at the end, or is it just gonna?
Well, current events is we're gonna lead current events towards the end of our discussion.
Current events is the podcast. Let's just say it.
Let's just say
Eric
that.
got what he wanted. Current events is the podcast.
So who want to start off? Any good music?
Yeah, Usher and Beethoven. What do you think about that?
Oh, I didn't even
Good mix,
listen to it.
bad mix.
I love Beethoven, and I love Usher. I couldn't get into it, man. You 39, man.
Plus,
like,
I know.
What age got to do with it?
It's just I just feel I feel some type of way with artists that don't grow with their audience.
I can see that. I mean, but
I've been into Usher since his very first album.
So when he was a little kid, when he was 16 years
He was
old,
like 13, like
Yeah.
14, 13, 14. Like I've been an Usher fan that long. I'm just like, you might need to like go to Tyrese route.
you started some acting.
I gotta disagree with that. I think Usher has grown over the years. You know, we went from You Got It Bad to Confessions to Loving This Club and Papers. I think Usher has grown. I think this was him trying to do something new.
He went through the EDM phase.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think he tries to do new things and they don't always work. I feel like Joe Budden made a post saying, "Look, man, I just want another You Got It Bad." That's not really hard to ask. Like that's
It
really
is,
all I need.
because that's a really good song.
But it's hard because these older artists have to compensate for the lack of just that youthfulness. So they got to like sort of try to conform with what the new music is, but it just doesn't. It comes off just as awkward and just not good. I mean, you can't hate him. He's still out here, 39 years old, doing his thing, kind of.
Okay, so all right, I know we got some other stuff. A lot of stuff has happened since you last been here, Shayna. I know you heard some things.
Like,
Yeah, what thing?
Okay, all right.
like what things?
All right. Well, I guess we're going past music. Drake's appearance on LeBron's The Shop. I know you heard
did
about
not
that.
watch the whole thing, but I did see like the snippets. So what did you think about the snippet? Did you watch the whole show?
I watched the part where they mentioned Pusha T and Kanye and his beef with them. I think Drake. I think he's a PR's dream. I think he knows how to project himself well and explain situations. Even if I didn't really see a lie in his statement, but I saw that he knew how to project himself well. It came to the point where my mom, who don't even watch hip hop, called me up like, "Oh, LeBron got to show the shop, and Drake was on there." And he was talking about this guy, Push T. I'm like Pusha T.
But
Yeah, he
my
a fool.
thing is about the show, The Shop. I go to barbershops and I go to beauty shops. The Drake segments were more like beauty shop segments, not barbershop segments.
I'll leave Drake alone.
You know how she is, man. Let her go. We need Shayna back on the show. Let her go.
Speaking of Drake, he's doing he's rapping in Spanish now. Did you hear that?
Yeah. He made a Spanish
He's an
single.
actor.
He made a
That's
single
talent right
with
there.
a Spanish band, I believe, or a Spanish rapper. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the Spanish
Don't
rapper
quote
named
me.
Bunny something.
Bad Bunny.
Bad Bunny.
I gotta say that collaboration with Giggs, who is a British rapper, that did push the hip hop culture forward a little bit because it made for a discussion online where it's like everybody in America was like that Giggs guy sucked, but everybody in the UK was like he killed that man. He was better than Drake because in the UK the way Giggs was rapping was him killing it.
Yeah.
In the UK the way Drake was rapping was like so it made for a nice culture clash.
Yeah, the UK has an interesting style of rap. Like it's real. like aggressive, like a little bit faster. I don't know. I don't really care for that.
Nicole, you got an opinion on this?
No, I don't listen to any of that.
No.
I'm
Okay.
not up to date in that music.
Or what have you listened to?
Well, hold up.
No, I'm not up to date in any music. Like, I just listen to Fleetwood Mac and chill.
You was listening to Trey Songz when I saw you
She
in the park.
listens to a little
Yeah.
Post Malone. She listens to a little
We
Post
was
Malone.
watching American Horror Story and it
God,
made you
that's
turn it
right.
on.
Wait,
Wait, what?
What?
American Horror Story. One of the lead singers for Fleetwood Mac was on there singing.
Stevie Nicks?
Stevie Nicks, yes.
Oh, Stevie Nicks. Yeah,
Yes, she
she's
was
cool.
on there singing.
Okay, so what do you think about Kanye and Trump and T.I.'s response? I know you up to date on that.
You got to
I'm
be
not.
upset. You missing out on Kanye.
I haven't read all weekend. I've just been, like, trying to live life and, like, get lost in woods and stuff.
Shayna, what do you think?
I have a problem with any politician that goes to rappers or entertainers for any type of political or, like, advice about policy.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
For real.
And then as far as, did you see the video that T.I. posted?
I more so saw his response. I saw Kanye and him speaking about Trump calling him Superman and stuff, but I more so looked at T.I.'s response.
He posted a video on his Twitter. I'm not sure if he posted it on his Instagram that kind of insinuated that he was having sex with Trump's wife.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm definitely not a fan of that response.
Wow.
Who made this?
T.I.
Wait, the T.I. had?
Clifford Harris.
Didn't Bow Wow do the same thing? Like make a joke about turning Trump's wife into a hoe or something on a
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg song?
Yeah, that's a little too. I don't know if you should. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, you can't like. Yeah. It's disrespect on top of disrespect. But yeah.
I mean, I just got to say Kanye is the crazy cousin that we all know. We got that one crazy cousin who just talks a lot of mess. We don't know if he's mentally all there. But he, at this point, man, I got to say, we got to cancel Kanye. I know people always say that, but we got to.
Well, you
'Cause
know
at this
what's
point-
gonna happen. People gonna say I'm done with Kanye.
Then he gonna
Then the
release
next
some
album
new-
gonna drop,
some new
and you gonna
music.
listen to it.
I don't know.
I feel
man.
like they just, like, go up to him. They're like, Kanye, we got, like, this, directed script for you. Go
No.
ahead. And he goes, like, nah, I'm just going to take some Molly and wing it.
He
Just like his superhero.
But my thing
For
is this, and this is for Kanye, and this is for any entertainer when you get in the room with a politician. You need to be humble enough to say, I don't know enough.
right.
Let me bring somebody in that has studied. Let me bring somebody in that knows more than I do. He was just going on all type of tangents, and he would say something, and we're like, oh, okay, and then he'll say like 10 more things. He'd be like, dog, shut the fuck up. Like,
Yeah.
you look silly. Like, oh, I feel like a Superman when I put this "Make America Great Again" hat on. What?
And here's the thing. People complain like, and it used to be back when the only bad news we had was what new dress the Kardashians were wearing.
Right.
I miss those days, don't you?
Seriously, it
I
was,
miss
it
those
was a
days.
simpler time.
But the thing is, like, I'm tired of seeing him. I'm tired of seeing him act like a clown. But it's like if you give more attention to it, then the more popularity will grow. Don't give attention to it, then you won't. I know you can't. The news is gonna do what the news is gonna do. But if you give more attention to Kanye acting the fool, or whatever, you're gonna see it more often.
I just don't
That's what I've
understand how
learned.
you can wear the MAGA hat and then a Kaepernick shirt. It's just like it just doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't.
He's not really there right now, man. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where I'm like, well, what can I do? Don't listen anymore. Okay, I've done my contribution. I'm done.
I hate the fact that a lot of times Trump and his people are like, athletes shouldn't get involved in political stuff, but he's out here talking with Kanye, giving him
And
10
Jim
minutes.
Brown.
And Jim Brown.
Who's a retired athlete.
Giving
But
Kanye.
Jim Brown, in his defense, he knows more about what's going on because he is an activist and has been
Yeah.
for several decades than Kanye West. But he did not speak as much, if at all.
But the issue is that any photo op you have with the president is going to be used as a political tool. Like he's going to use it to say, oh, the black community, they love me. See, I got the famous rapper and Jim Brown, a football player. And so it's like you need to just avoid even being in his circle right now.
I kind of understood in the beginning because a lot of us were dismissive of Trump. Like, oh, we're not going to get in. I feel like in the beginning, we should have at least been open to getting in the room with him, to talk to him, to attempt to inform him. But now that we know what he's on after the tax cut policy passed, we should just be like, okay, well, you're not trying to hear what we're trying to say. And you've passed this policy that's basically going to decimate the middle class. So,
and they tried though. You know, the HBCU presidents came, you know, for the meeting about funding for the historically black colleges, and he just used it as a photo op.
they caught a lot of flack for that, but I wasn't mad at that because
Right.
it was the beginning.
Exactly.
And I wasn't mad at it because you got to at least attempt to get in the room. A lot of our, like, you know, the Congressional Black Caucus, they weren't even trying to get in the room with him in the beginning.
I do want to say something else. A music law was passed the same day as well. I mean, I think this would have happened regardless of who was head of state. But the legislation contains three main components. It will ensure that artists and songwriters are compensated for music recorded before 1972, allow music producers to receive royalty payments, and create a single independent body that handles the entire licensing process between artists and streaming services. So, you know, it's one diamond in the hard rough.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't really benefit that many people, except for
You know,
Most of the people that
famous.
it would benefit will probably be the children of, you know, legends that have passed or
Right.
older legends.
Yeah. So I guess, I mean, you know, that's a win for somebody.
come on, give it up. Give it up. Give it up. Give it up for them. Give it up.
Yes.
You know, and on top of that, I got one more thing for your corner. The Fire Festival organizer was finally sentenced.
Oh, I saw
yeah.
that. Well, like
What'd he
6
get,
years or
6
something?
years or 8 years, something like that. What about Ja Rule?
Well, should he get sentenced?
I don't know what
I
don't.
think he was just like kind of like the co-signer though.
I mean, he was a scammer. I mean, all of them should be sentenced for something. Cause
Ja?
not Ja, really.
Oh.
But I mean, the guy who organized it, he definitely deserved.
I can't wait to see the
All that
BBC
time.
documentary, man.
That's gonna be
I'm so ready for it.
Man, but that's the ultimate scammer, man. Imagine like taking all this money from these people and got this island that
He
you're
made a
looking.
bunch of rich kids go and live out an episode of Lost with no way to get
Intense.
home.
Man. But that's funny. So I'm glad he got his 6 years in prison. I don't know if he's going to serve all 6 years, but we'll see. He might get some good time.
I'm not liking this quietness, man. Nicole, what movie have you seen?
Right.
Come on, talk
Nicole,
to us.
something. What's happened?
You know, I'm gonna give you a movie that's like 12 years old.
It's okay.
that I
We
finally
haven't
seen
seen
for
you in
the
a while. We
first
want you to
time.
say something.
I don't have anything, nothing to report. I hung out with my brother yesterday,
How'd that go?
and we watched Deadpool. It was pretty boring.
Which one?
Because
The
that's like,
first one.
how do Westerns chill out, man? So is Deadpool boring because it's like, oh, this is just a day in the life right here?
Yeah, that was really it. I was like, okay, well, I guess this is what we'll do. We have nothing better to do. He wanted me to like bring over my Nintendo GameCube to play, and then he realized he couldn't figure out how to hook it up to his TV. So
Okay.
What do
Wait.
you love about Mario? What about Mario makes you smile? Like what puts you in a happy mood
I don't know.
about
Those
Mario?
games are simple. It's not like Zelda where like I don't like adventure games. I like verse games.
You don't like a little Grand Theft Auto?
I like to watch people play it, and if I
What?
do play it, like I just like to crash the cars and get as many stars as I can, so I can be arrested and then do it all over again.
They're coming out with the PlayStation Classic.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I
We
saw
should
that.
talk about that. Can we go to my corner?
Yeah, we
that.
there already.
All right, we there already. So, like, listen, I recently got back into gaming. So I bought myself a PS3 from a disc replay store. So I haven't played games in a while. So I got back into playing Grand Theft Auto 4, and I had what you call, it's really not what you think, but I had what you call kind of like a video game wet dream. It's nothing sexual. It's nothing sexual. It's just I call it this because
Video game.
there is a little bit of a fetish behind this. So I'm playing Grand Theft Auto
You're
4.
digging yourself a
Let's hear
deeper
this. I
hole
wanna hear
right
this
now.
fetish you got.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm just trying to add something to the conversation. 'Cause we get- you know what I'm saying I need Nicole to respond to something.
There, you get
Yep.
sassy response.
So I'm in my controller, right, and I'm
Yeah.
playing the game, and I fall asleep while playing it. So like in my dream, I'm like in the Grand Theft Auto 4 game. So I'm doing this mission where I guess I'm an undercover cop or something. This doesn't happen in the actual game, I don't think. And at one point, somebody's pointing a gun at me saying, "Yo, shoot him!" So then I literally wake up screaming with the controller in my hand, trying to save myself, and the TV's not on. So that was it. Like I fetishized myself, putting myself in Liberty City, like I was an undercover cop.
Imagine being a character. Like, what if that's a real life scenario? Just we were in a real life Grand Theft Auto, man. It'd be nuts. That would be fun.
No.
A lot of
It's
people
very
are real-
violent.
Yeah, and
Liberty
you know what?
City is hell, man.
I'll just be like skating, I'd steal people's bikes and
People are stupid.
cars and motorcycles.
That would just like knock out like half of the population.
I think that's what
we need.
within like a few
Needs
days.
Batman. Like, it's terrible.
No.
Natural
Liberty
selection.
City
Natural
would eat up
selection.
Batman
Yeah.
and the Joker.
Yeah, you're right. I
Listen,
agree.
man, Liberty City is only fit for like a Deadpool.
For real. Like
Because
somebody
it's like, look, I was walking past somebody on the street. Hey, God, you got a problem? I'm like, dog, I'm just
bro.
I'm just walking on the sidewalk. And then all of a sudden I start fighting him. Then he starts walking away like, I'm sorry. I don't want no problems.
So you didn't want that smoke.
That's Liberty City, man.
Hey, that's hilarious though.
I play Animal Crossing. Like I just
Wait,
a
Frogger? What?
no Animal
Oh.
Crossing is like
Wait, don't laugh at Frogger. I was obsessed with Frogger.
Frogger is
yeah,
that deal, though.
Frogger on
It's like-
PlayStation.
you make your own like tiny town and like all the residents are different animals and you're the mayor of the town and you help like clean it up and decorate it and
Interesting.
that's the shit I'm into. Like I'll
Interesting.
play that.
Where do you
for
find this
hours.
game? Like, where is this?
That's on
PS4?
Nintendo. It's on the DS.
Okay,
Yeah.
that sounds like a DS game. You know,
I
some
like
of the
my
DS
little
games are
DS.
strange.
It's nice like when you're on the plane and you have to like avoid the fact that someone's sitting
So
extremely
trying-
close
It's
to
like-
you.
I was gonna say it's like Sim City, but with animals.
Yeah, it's like more of a
Oh.
childish version.
I'm trying to
Dumbs
reboot.
it down for the
For the little ones, for the.
little ones. I'm a little one.
I'm going to be real. I'm trying to reboot my PSP so I can play that anywhere.
Oh man.
If I'm doing like son duties, boyfriend duties, friend duties, I can just pull
Anything.
that out and just,
Right.
just zone
Seriously.
out.
Are you really on duty if you pull that out?
Right, you
No,
actually
you
not
pretty
paying
much
attention.
just said "fuck you, duty." I'm not
Well,
doing that.
I
for
don't
moments
need you.
for moments where I'm doing the monotony and I don't feel like dealing with the monotony, yeah, that's what it's for.
Well, yeah. I kind of do miss those, like the Game Boys. Yeah, like the portable games are fun. I enjoy those. Oh, you said cell phones? You got cell phones now? Yeah, I guess you're right.
Well, I mean,
It's a little different.
I'm not gonna play GTA on my cell phone, Randy. That's just not gonna happen. I'm sorry.
I don't have games in my phone because I'm around too many kids. So I can tell them no. You have games on your phone?
No.
Randy, how many games you got on your phone right now?
Just one.
What's that?
Clash Royale.
Oh, I heard some good. Yeah, I heard that's fun.
It's addictive.
You know, Bejeweled is the devil. When you
Bejeweled.
play Bejeweled, that's the devil, man.
That's the
It's that-
that's the old ladies game. Like my mom plays that all the time.
It's
Like
not really a ladies' game, man.
yeah.
Candy Crush is the ladies' game.
Why do we
I
put
like-
why do we
I've
put labels
never
on this? Right?
played
Word
that.
search.
Where's oh yeah.
Yeah, me and my roommates do a lot of crossword puzzles
All right, hold up, though.
together on like her iPad.
I got to go back to my essence. I got to talk about movies.
Oh yeah, let's get into some movies.
Okay, so I saw Hold the Dark on Netflix. It's very grim, very dark, but I suggest it. It's very, very good. Jeffrey Wright in the leading role. Alexander Skarsgård, who's always playing these dark characters. I love Alexander, man. Like,
Yeah, he's
Big
good.
Little Lies, True Blood. He's
Yeah.
He plays the same.
Yeah, I don't care for him.
He was
he's-
on
but
what
he's
is
good at it, though.
what the show with Nicole Kidman you just named?
Big Little Lies.
He was Eric. He
Uh-huh.
just wasn't a vampire.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say he's Eric in this one, but he's still dark. My girl, Elvis' granddaughter, Riley Cole. I don't know how to say her last name, but she's a good actress. Yeah, it's about a woman whose son was allegedly taken by wolves, so she calls Jeffrey Wright, who wrote a book on wolves, to help her find him. And he finds out there's like a mystery behind this, and yeah, it's very good.
Okay.
So I heard you saw The Hate You Give.
Yes, The Hate You Give. I saw that.
Give us a dissertation.
So I don't know who read the book. I know Shayna read the book.
Angie
Those-
Thomas wrote it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I will say it's a really good movie, right? So it talks about essentially, without giving too much away for those who haven't seen it, it talks about the topics of police brutality, sort of like black identity, and just sort of the outrage that this young lady who witnessed her friend being murdered by a police officer, the outrage that she felt because she was sort of living two lives. She talked about this, how, you know, she grew up on this poor side of whatever town this is, and she was going to school in this rich, affluent town. And so trying to sort of, the identity,
me.
Explain?
I said, no, that's me.
Oh, they said it's you.
Oh, no, go ahead.
And so the identity conversions that she was feeling, especially related to this case of her friend being killed by the police, and sort of having to, you know, try to speak up for her friend who was killed, but also afraid to speak up because she felt like she was going to be judged by her classmates. right? And so it's a really good movie. Amandla Steinberg is the leading character in that, and then
she was Rey in Hunger Games, and then she was in everything. I think that's the title.
It is.
She came to this.
And then the father played on
Lincoln Heights.
Lincoln Heights. I forgot his name though.
Russell Hartley.
He was also in 7 Seconds.
And yeah, he was. Yeah,
he's a very.
Did a good job.
Russell Hornsby, I think is his name. Randall Hornsby.
He did a great job.
He's a good actor.
He is. He played the character well. So I don't want to give too much away, but obviously he's her father.
Regina Hall.
Oh, Regina Hall. So he's the father of Amandla's character. What's the name in the movie? I forgot. Shoot. See, that's
you
why
had
I'm not
one job, man.
That's why I'm not a critic. I'm not a professional critic because that's just not what I do. But I would say I would recommend everyone go see it. It touches on social justice issues. It's a poignant movie that's really good to actually for kids to come see because it talks about issues of young kids with police brutality and all that stuff. So yeah, definitely go see it. I also recommend if you do go to see the movie.
Don't read the book.
Shayna said don't read the book.
Don't read the book first. This may be the rare instance where the movie is better than the book.
Oh, you saw it too?
No, I'm just
But
saying.
she was telling me, don't see the book, don't read the book.
Well, my mother, I trust her opinion, and she doesn't really like young adult stuff, and she liked the book.
Because
Miss Holden liked the book. I got to go by what she's saying.
It was on YouTube, and then she had another interview where someone asked her specifically why was her boyfriend white.
Oh.
And she was like, well, I wanted to show what a white ally should be. And I saw none of that in the book.
Yeah.
So maybe if I hadn't watched the interviews, because I like to, before I get into a book, if there are interviews or lectures available by their author, I like to watch them or, see that first. And then it helps me get a better understanding of the book. I did that with when I read Killers of the Flower Moon.
I can't always do that because the author might not be as charming as the book itself.
Yeah.
So it can be laborious for me.
Like, did they have the Fresh Prince references in the movie?
I remember.
Like, that's how she related to her white boyfriend. And I feel like that's how a lot of white people relate to us is through television, inaccurate television.
Yeah. No, she didn't say.
Like,
they talked about how he was a beat producer. He wanted to be like DJ Khaled or something like that. But they didn't talk about Fresh Prince.
Yeah, that's that. It was a lot of that going on in the book. Like they would, reference Fresh Prince. He would sing the theme to apologize to her.
Oh yeah, they didn't do that.
Bump.
Yeah, he would do it exactly. Bump. That's in the book.
Bump.
But I will say though,
they
talked about
cute thing.
They talked about this appropriation of the black culture that her white classmates would sort of do without actually understanding the plight of the black people right in this time. So they would listen to the black artists, music and do the dances. But when it came to the young man dying, they use that sort of as an excuse just to get out of class. So they protested to get out of class.
In the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's good. I definitely recommend 2 thumbs up on that one. You should all go see it.
Okay.
Oh,
movie wish list. Movies you want to see. I want to see Bad Times at the El Royale. I want to see First Man Ryan Gosling. This is probably my favorite actor next to Denzel.
Ryan Gosling. Hold on, you talking about
Listen, man, Drive changed my life. You gotta understand, Drive changed my life. Like
how?
He was so.
You got your driver's license after that?
Hold on. I know everybody who watched that expected to see a Fast and Furious. I know it disappointed people, but listen, man, you take a '80s type theme like that into a movie like that, and like I know everything about it is like not good. Like it's extreme violence out of nowhere.
Wait, I'm thinking I'm confused on this.
I know it's extreme violence out of nowhere and stuff like that, and a lot of staring. But that movie is beautiful to me, man.
You deserve.
I think it's just the soundtrack that makes it good.
It's the soundtrack, and I also think it's the directing. Like, I think it's the directing. I think Ryan Gosling had that strong, silent type steez in that movie.
And that's, like, nice to watch, like, one time.
I love Drive.
Never watch it
hold up
again.
now. You're not letting me get finished here.
I'm sorry.
We also got the funny Ryan Gosling in Crazy Stupid Love. Nice guys. La La Land to a point. We got the crazy goth Ryan Gosling in A House Behind the Pines. That's my dude
where
right
he was
there.
a terrorist, and they kind of marketed him as somebody you should be sympathetic to.
Look, man, that's
Wait.
my guy right there. Man. Ryan Gosling is my dude.
Didn't he act with Denzel in Remember the Titans?
Yes, he
yes, he
did.
did.
Was in that?
Yes, he
He's
was
probably
in
the-
that.
So you
Football
comparing
player.
Denzel?
Well, that was an early Ryan Gosling, though.
Man,
Oh,
like
Oh, man.
you
Man.
can't justify putting he's my favorite actor behind Denzel.
Yeah,
coulda said
that's
Tom
so.
Hanks.
Listen,
that's
this
just-
is all subjective
Like,
here,
that
okay?
If you would have said
be-
Tom
no.
Hanks, I was like, all right, man.
Yeah,
Come on,
Tom
man.
Hanks or like even
Hold up.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Okay, I put him up there too, but
With Leonardo.
Then you just like Ryan Gosling.
listen, man, Ryan Gosling's my dude.
Mickey Mouse Club.
I would have said Ryan
That's-
Reynolds. Hey,
That's
I
retarded.
saw a
That's
clip
the
of
end of the conversation.
I saw a clip of him singing on the Mickey Mouse Club. He had a little voice though. He could sing a little bit. He was good. He was.
All right.
He
Yeah,
was.
man.
bad
And I
time-
put Justin Timberlake up there behind Luther Vandross.
Hey, listen, man. Bad Times at the El Royale, First Man, A Simple Favor, which I hear is pretty good, and that's my movie
Oh,
wish
I gotta
list.
see. A Star is Born. You gotta see that
Yeah,
one.
that one too.
I
don't
really
wanna see Venom.
that so bad.
Yeah, I heard some good things about A Star is Born. I gotta check it out.
I want to see that, but I don't want to see Venom that much. Everybody keeps telling me mixed reviews.
I keep hearing just bad reviews,
Really?
I've heard
Yeah.
mixed.
and I'm bummed because it's a Marvel movie. But is that on the spectrum of where X-Men is like kind of just
It's
They're owned
he's
by
a
Fox
Spider-Man
still.
nemesis.
Yeah.
yeah. But
Go ahead, Randy.
yeah, you,
Randy got something to say.
Spit some game.
So, Sony has the movie rights to Spider-Man and associated characters, and they teamed up with Marvel, Disney, even though Spider-Man is a Disney Marvel character, to put Tom Holland's Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. However, Venom and their spin-off and the other Spider-Man universe movies will not necessarily be part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but they will be part of the Spider-Man universe. So
Yeah.
they're gonna cross
it's like
it.
two.
Yeah.
It's like a Venn diagram with Spider-Man in the middle.
Right. So you got the Avengers then and like the
Yeah.
whole X-Men. Whoops.
So we won't
X-Men
see
and-
Venom and Carnage
probably
and all
currently at least Venom and other characters in non-Spider-Man related movies.
that. This
I-
licensing
Did
thing
y'all
is
see
By the
bullshit.
way, I did
It
is.
hear that they did it leaked the name for the last Avengers.
Did y'all see the Chris Evans tweet?
Oh yeah, I saw
And
that.
yeah, Chris Evans did tweet like
Yep.
goodbye with
yeah.
this one scene, and either he gonna die or that's just his
was
exit
like,
in
man,
the
I
character.
say-
Like I enjoy playing the character.
I say good for him though, because I know that's a career right there, being
Seriously.
an Avengers character.
You can make you make a long.
I understand if you
career.
want to do other things, so good for him.
Man.
All right, okay.
So
Current
is,
events.
so is it my turn? All right, so I'm gonna touch on a few local subjects, and then I'll get to something larger. So, did anyone hear about the guy who shot at the young 14-year-old
Yeah.
over in I think it was
Rochester.
Rochester
Yeah.
Hills?
Yep.
So he was found guilty of attempted assault, something like with a deadly weapon,
Yeah.
And possession
and
of a
possession
firearm.
and possession of
Well,
a
they were
firearm.
showing like a neighbor or someone had like a videotape, and they were showing that the boy really wasn't doing anything threatening.
Not at all.
It was
And then
his-
he just charged out of his house with a gun in his hand.
He had the ring thing, the ring camera.
Yeah.
So that's where the footage came from. It came from his own house.
And he was like trying to claim that, and his wife was also trying to claim that the boy was trying to burgle them. But at the
Yeah.
same time, you ask like, why would
Burglars
he just?
don't walk up to the front.
Yeah,
Right, and
why
ring
would
the
he just-
doorbell
yeah.
and stand there.
And he's like a 14-year-old kid. Come on.
But I saw a lot of people on like the comment sections trying to defend this. I'm like, how can you defend this? It's clear-cut evidence showing that the kid was literally lost, looking for directions, came up to the door.
I learned to never read the comment section.
It's hard for
You
me.
have to.
It's a dark hole.
It
You
is.
just
It
go
is.
down
Oh,
and
no,
you
don't
get
read the comments.
judgmental and
Yeah.
it's negative.
Especially on
and
local
then you
stories.
want to
Yeah.
comment too.
Ooh.
You're like, are you?
Yeah.
It's
People
like
say the worst things openly online.
They do.
I wanted to say something about that, but I'll touch on it later. What
Yeah,
else you
but it's
got?
great. Oh, second thing, did anyone hear about the 11 infants that were found?
In a funeral
funeral home.
Yes,
Yeah.
and
Through
the like ceiling.
And
Yes,
like what, man? They need to get sued. Somebody needs to go to jail.
that was after it had officially like been closed.
Yeah.
down,
Been
right?
shut
Were they
down
dead?
by the state.
Yeah, they were already dead.
man.
But the funeral home was shut down back in April, and it's not which one? Not called. Shoot, what's the name of that funeral home? I'm not gonna put out the wrong name because I don't want anybody to get mad at me.
Yeah,
But the
don't
funeral home was
Check that.
was shut down back in April due to some violations. They found like dead bodies with mold, like in a garage or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were cleaning it out because they're trying to make it like a rec center.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't know why you want to make a rec center out of an old funeral home.
I don't ever want to
Me
visit
personally.
that.
Right.
We need more rec centers, Cantrell.
Cantrell Funeral Home. So yeah, they're trying to make a rec center out of that. So they were doing the construction and cleaning it out the attic, and they saw dead infant babies inside of cardboard boxes.
They have been decomposed.
Decomposed in the ceiling, like in the attic. And yeah, they need to go to jail. The owner, whoever, that's just pure negligence.
Right.
Whatever
and
happened.
It makes you ask, like, I read that and I have so many questions. Like, what caused them to continuously stack infant corpses?
Like, where are the
there?
families?
Like, did the families abandon them? They're like, well, I don't know what to do with it, so maybe we'll just lay them in the ceiling. Like, there are so many reasons that I just read that, and like I laid in bed for a good hour dissecting like every single possibility as to why that happened.
There's no excuse for that. Funeral homes can apply for funds to bury or dispose of unclaimed
cremate
bodies.
them.
Right.
So there's
my
literally
God.
no excuse for that.
Yeah, that's something that just, as someone who is just like an outsider reading this story, I'm like, how do you even think this is morally right? Like, what in your mind is like, I'm going to stack these babies up here because maybe their family can't afford to bury them.
I just want more answers.
Yeah, so that's a developing story. I'm sure we'll hear more about it.
I hope so.
Soon. Also wanted to touch on an interesting case. I don't know if has anyone heard of Jamal Khashoggi?
The journalist, the U.S. journalist that was killed in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, yep. He's a U.S. journalist who was a Saudi citizen who was a writer for the Washington Post. This journalist wrote the editorial, I think, sort of condemning the Saudi Arabian government for various things that they've done. And I think the government put a hit out on him, the Saudi Arabian government. And so he traveled to Turkey to go to the U.S. consulate because he was getting married. So he got to get some paperwork filled out. So he went to the Saudi Arabian consulate in Turkey. And once he got there, I think essentially they ambushed him and he disappeared. So they have a video recording of him going into the place and never returning. So his wife was like, where's my husband or my fiance? And the Turkish government said that they had recordings of sort of like an altercation of him being interrogated and then them killing him. But the Saudi government is denying it. So this has bigger implications because Jared Kushner and the Prince of Saudi Arabia are really close. And we have an arms deal with Saudi Arabia where we're getting like $1 billion in funding to give them guns. And so everyone's trying to tell the president, like, you need to go ahead and do something to put some sanctions on them because they literally killed an American resident who was a writer for the Washington Post. But they're not really doing anything. The U.S. government isn't doing anything because
for one person. They're not gonna, even though it's not.
But they should.
They should, but even though it's not morally right, they're not going to. They're not going to do that. If that's the case, then they should have went after them after the whole 9/11 thing because most of them were from Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Dang, usually I'm the pessimist.
So this is an interesting story, and it has a lot of implications because, again, the United States, who has done some deals with Saudi Arabia, is pretty much getting a lot of money from them. They're being slow to say that the Saudis did it, even though there's a lot of evidence. The Turkish government has evidence to prove that the Saudis did it, and it was a government hit. But we're afraid to place sanctions on them because of financial, implications for us. So what are y'all thoughts about that? It's a lot to digest, but it's a really interesting sort of like a murder mystery.
That's our, I guess. I mean, that's our MO. That's what we do. We do hits like that. We don't necessarily. We may do it here, but it's for sure we do it overseas. We topple governments. We interfere with elections. Yeah. If it's not in our interests.
Yeah, we've been terrorists.
Yeah,
that's true.
It's tough because the rhetoric about journalists, that the current administration has been sort of talking about. It kind of ties into it because he's a Washington Post journalist. He was critical, of the Saudi government, and they killed him because of that. So it's like, where's the line? Like, journalists don't have the right to say what they feel without implications of being, murdered, kidnapped, whatever that may be.
So,
Yeah,
it's a dangerous job, depending on where you are covering your story. It is a dangerous job.
It's a dangerous job here.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
It's a dangerous job to do here if you're not going with the flow.
Yeah.
I can see that.
It's
And
also, go ahead.
no, I was going to say I can see that, but I think that at least in the United States, where we protect our First Amendment rights, and even though he wasn't a U.S. citizen, he was still a resident here.
Mumia was a journalist, and
Yeah.
they ended up pinning a murder on him. He's still locked up. So
Wait, what's that about? I haven't.
Mumia Abu Jamal.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I think journalists in this country, at least around the world globally, they have the duty to speak up against whatever injustice they see, right? Whether it's a corrupt government, whether it's, corrupt politicians, whoever it may be. I think it should be the standard. Like, you should be able to voice your concern. But to be killed and assassinated because of that's dirty. Some sanction has to be placed on Saudi Arabia because of this. Like that, there's no way they should be able to just walk scotch-free, without even feeling some type of repercussion.
Yeah.
It should.
Yeah.
But it's not going to happen.
I think it will. A lot of Republicans and Democrats in Senate and the House, they have been outspoken about us having to do something regarding some type of sanction. And I think what I read today was that the Saudi government said if the sanctions are placed, there will be repercussions for us on their end. So who knows what that will look like.
Yeah, it's definitely a selfless job too, especially when you have integrity as a writer and as a journalist. It's a selfless job. So rest in peace to the people who have lost their lives or livelihoods unfairly, depending on that.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back earlier to what you said about the. What did you have anything else to add about that?
No, that was that.
So what Nicole said earlier about the black hole in the comment space.
Yeah.
So touching back on Pusha T and Drake, I saw a post by Rap Genius because they have a Facebook page.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna step out to pee. No offense, I just don't have an opinion on this. I don't know.
Well, return Nicole, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see her in 2 weeks.
See ya.
Hey, nice.
Okay, so the post was Pusha T saying, well, I think when somebody makes 25 songs, that's a poverty way of getting streaming sales. So of course it's a shot at Drake.
Right.
But I thought about that. I'm like, 25 songs, it costs a lot to make songs.
Seriously.
So I made a comment because I was a little confused. I was like, yeah, I know it's a shot at Drake, but I think I need Push to be a little bit more coherent. Making a lot of songs like that costs money.
Right.
So I just left it alone. And then I left it alone. I did. And then some people liked it. And then one person commented underneath sometimes songs don't cost a lot of money. And I think that you know how it shows you the beginning of a comment?
Right, you got to
And
click
you don't
on
have
it.
to read the
Right. I stepped back. I didn't even look at it.
Right.
I just said, you know what? I stated my opinion. I may be wrong in what I said, but I stepped away. But most people they join in the argument, especially when it's when it's the stand culture.
Yep.
Eminem MGK comments were the best and worst.
It's just true, man. They were
know,
cutthroat.
They were, and I think you gotta know when to step back and just be like, okay, I stated my opinion. I may be wrong, but I'm good.
It's hard not to get caught up in it because again, people want to express their opinions, and you express your opinion because you wanted clarification, right?
Yeah.
But everyone sort of has to have a rebuttal. Like they have to one up you every single time in the comments,
Right.
and it's never ending. It's just like the thread can go from just the initial post to 30 different posts underneath it, basically yelling about the same thing.
Right. Before Eminem released Kill Shot, his shot at MGK, he had did that interview with Sway man, I'm caught in this weird space where if I respond, he gonna get famous. If I don't respond, I'm gonna be looked at as soft, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. Yeah. And somebody commented, I can't believe this. Slim done gone soft. And he had the emoji with a guy looking down disappointed. And somebody was commenting underneath him man, he's being mature, and no, he right, and no, he's being mature. And I'm like, man, this is funny and bad at the same time.
Is. And that's kind of our culture right now. You either have to be for or against. There's no just coming to just a consensus.
Quick conspiracy theory. Would you think it's unbelievable if Eminem and MGK planned this?
I don't think so.
I think MGK. I think he somebody brought this up. He was like, "Yo, M, man, I need to progress my career some. We gotta start a beef together." He's like, "All right, man, but you gotta come out with some raw stuff towards me for me to respond.
Because I was gonna say, because MGK has more to lose than Eminem. Because Eminem is always gonna be the GOAT. Like
He's Eminem.
He's Eminem. But MGK, if he came out with something soft, or if he came out hard but didn't respond to rebuttal, it's like that's the end of him.
The man said himself, when Eminem disses you on a song, you made it.
I guess.
Which is true, kind of.
And even the diss, though, I don't understand why Eminem even wasting his time on dissing him anyway.
You know, homeboy came at Haley. That's a legit.
Like
that's a legit
5,
excuse.
6 years ago, though.
It's a legit excuse, though. You know how he feels about his daughters.
Yeah. I mean, but you may have a point. It could be a conspiracy. I mean, it could be something that was planned because it was random that he decided for this album to come at him when he could have literally did that for Recovery or any other album.
Well, back to the Drake. Did you see the clip where he was like, "Oh, you can talk about my son and you don't know my family, but you talk about my producer. You talk about my producer dying. Something's gonna happen to you." And somebody was like, "He cared more about his producer than his son."
Well, here's the thing, though. I think that Push, met 40. I think Pusha met 40, and I don't know how their relationship progressed in Wyoming, but he met the guy. I don't think Push ever met his son or Drake's father or mother. But if it's somebody you meet and 40 probably said to him, "Hey man, I got MS," in passing or whatever. I mean,
right.
You
can say like they got to like multiple conversations.
You talk with somebody and they try to mention something in passing. It is disrespectful to use that against somebody, especially when it's not towards the person you dissing.
But my thing is this: like Drake said another something like people always say, or rap purists say that there are no rules. He's like, but there are rules.
To a point, there can be.
I don't think it's rules.
Like I remember, didn't Jay-Z and Cameron, when the whole Nas beef was going on, didn't somebody say something about Nas' girl at the time, Carmen? You know who I'm talking about, right?
The
Carmen.
one that him and Jay-Z both.
Yeah, I think.
Right, and they said something about her and their kid.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny is Nas' daughter, right? Something was said about Destiny, and then that was seen as crossing the line.
I don't know if there's any line. I mean, I think the rules are very ambiguous in rap. I think that obviously you don't want to talk about somebody.
But if you want to be somebody that says, "Oh, there's lines that shouldn't be crossed," and you want to do everything by quote unquote the book, there is no book. But whatever, you shouldn't have brought up his fiance.
Like, point me to the book, show me the book, and circle the specific line where it says you can't talk about someone's family.
But here's the thing: hip hop beefs never end clean. I mean, they always end with bitterness and like it's just kind of like a whatever, and then you kind of move on. Like hip hop beefs never go by the book.
That makes it more entertaining.
Name one hip hop beef that went by the so-called book.
There is no book.
But it makes it entertaining though, because it's just like the natural reaction, natural response to somebody coming at you.
And come on, man, naming somebody's fiance, who cares? Like, is that a real big deal?
Not really.
But everybody has their limits and everybody has their lines. You can't tell Pusha T that this is a line that can be crossed, but you can't cross this line over here.
And then you can go back to Infrared and being like, well, he just mentioned Quinta's name. Like, I'm sure Drake is over that, but then Drake responded. So I think on both sides it was kind of like, did this really need to happen? But, yeah. I
mean, but again, we're all entertained. We're looking, we're watching. I think that's kind of what they did, and both of them got exposure for it. So,
I want y'all to tell me about times y'all fell into the comment hole on social media and it didn't end well.
It never ends well.
I mean, I don't ever like comment back, but I will comment back in my head and sit there in like this negative space after like reading how people feel and how much it hurts me because they don't know. But at the same time, you have to remind yourself, these people just don't know better. Is it really worth your energy and time to publicly call them out? No. At the end of the day, it's not.
Well, it wasn't like a public post. It was somebody I went to high school with. They posted something. It was something anti-black. And then I responded, like, this doesn't mesh up with the statistics, and this is wrong. And I guess their white step-uncle commented, like, well, I intervened when a street lady, she was getting beat up by, I guess, her boss, and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, you're lying. Like, you're making up a crime. Like, why do you... Why did you do that?
See, for me, I'm a lurker, so I don't post much. I'm gonna review and just read because I feel like once you post something, you putting that into
You're the creeper.
the public space. No, I'm not the creep. No,
You're the
There's nothing wrong with that, though.
You're
'Cause
you're voyeuristic.
because think about it. Anytime you put something in public space written down, a lot of times that can come back to you and haunt you later. So I'm like, let me
course.
not even, post anything. Let me keep my opinions to myself. I think that person's stupid, but that's it. I
Eric
won't.
wants to be really famous one day, so
Nah.
he has to watch.
No. Eric's a smart guy. He's a good guy. On the
Thank you, I
night
appreciate it.
on the night of Donald Trump's win is one I can recall. So my friend who I used to go to high school with, he's Mexican, so he's like, man, I'm telling you, man, we might be better off with him than with the Clintons. I'm like, you can't honestly mean that though. Like, I understand like the Clintons are corrupt too, and I think every politician is corrupt to a point. But I'm like, you can't honestly mean that. He's like, man, I'm telling you, man. My father tells you with the Clinton administration, we were embarrassed. He's just saying it was bad. Yeah. So then I'm like, you can't honestly mean that, man. So then the guy's uncle comes in and says, yo, young blood, let me kick some game to you. I think Trump might be the best thing we ever had right now. I'm like, y'all are Mexicans saying this to me. Like, y'all know what he said about y'all? And, and it went back and forth. And in the end, I just realized, like, why did I do that?
But a lot of times when Donald Trump says stuff, it about people, even people of that community, they don't believe that it applies to him. Like Donald Trump said, something about black people being poor and not having money, and then most of the people that were on CNN and MSNBC, they were like, "Well, I have money, my friends have money, and that is just a lie." But it does not. But what he said was like, black people don't have any wealth. So what he said was true. He said in a really shitty way.
What have you got to lose? What have you got to lose?
But like, even though he said that, they weren't like trying to get to the root of it. They were just like, well, it don't apply to me. So probably your Mexican friend probably thought, well, I came over here legally. He not talking about me.
That's just people fail to understand the nuance within a lot of discussion. Like in that situation, yes, Donald Trump, he made a blanket generalization, and as black people, we know or that obviously there are black people who have money and some who don't. But generally, I think people like, oh, maybe black people are all poor, right? Because they don't understand the complexities. Some people will take, one statement or one example and sort of use that as a broad generalization. And that's just kind of human nature. But in an instance like that, it's good that you challenge, your friend. Obviously, they're kind of stuck in their ways, so it's not going to go anywhere.
Well, I don't know how he feels now, but we haven't spoken since, which is sad. That's sad, though. I do miss him, but
if you're listening right now, friend, reach out to them.
It's hard to tell that.
He don't know I got a podcast. Go ahead.
Spartans.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's why I was bored. No
lighting shit on fire.
Right.
Like
I had to watch my brother watch that game yesterday when I went over there, and I was like, I didn't go to East Lansing. I didn't go.
Hey,
you know what's
the root for it?
You know what post I made? I said if it was a bunch of black kids doing something like this, lighting fires, what would it be called?
Oh, probably a riot, but it's different. No,
it's different.
No,
I mean, but that's what they do in Cedar Village.
Right.
Like,
Trust me, I know.
It happened twice while I was there.
Wait, did they do that again yesterday?
Yeah.
That's their thing.
Yeah, we're notorious for burning couches for some reason.
Yeah.
My brother almost got in trouble doing that.
I went out there one night.
He didn't do it.
I went out there one night, and I'm like, I was about to go down. So I walked to Cedar Village.
It's about to go down.
And they were like, bring on the tear gas. I'm like, I'm about to go home. And I woke up. We were on CNN for burning couches.
It's like, hold on. Like, who has, first off, whose couches are you volunteering?
Thing, though? Is it a
well,
wee
when
thing?
it first started, like,
no, it's not a
my
wee thing.
brother was
You're
going to Michigan
right.
State, and my dad had texted him when it was happening because it was all over the news that, all these Spartans were just burning couches on their front lawn. And my dad texted my brother, and he's like, you okay? And, of course, Tyler, lived down the street from someone who was doing it, so he just posted him a photo and was like, yeah, I'm having fun. And the next day, the fucking cop showed up to Tyler's house, and it was like, I saw that you were burning couches. Like, they saw that he had texted that to my dad.
Oh, seriously?
Oh, wow.
Big brother.
Connected him back.
That's crazy.
So the cop showed up. Mm-hmm.
The government, man, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Brother.
It's
Just
crazy.
be aware of what you're doing. Don't be stupid.
They hold on. They surveilling that hard.
No,
Yeah.
5, right? Is it 1984? Yeah, it's probably
That's-
1984.
yeah,
You're right.
Like they're surveilling that hard to where they are scanning text messages that go through. Yeah, that's crazy.
That's why I tell people like my nephew, he wants to be a politician.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if you don't want it to come back to you one day,
Right.
don't send it in a text message. Don't send it
Right,
in a phone
nothing in writing.
conversation. It definitely don't use Facebook Messenger.
Oh no, yeah, definitely not, because that's
'Cause
all
even
tied
if
into
you
government.
delete the messages, they can retrieve them.
Yeah, and that's the small print that you got to read when you agree to sign up for this stuff.
When's the last time they burnt couches up there? I mean, did you if they didn't burn couches and mattresses in Cedar Village while you were at state, did you really graduate?
Right. But my thing is like, who's
Is your degree
volunteering?
valid?
Who is voluntarily giving up their couch to be burnt? Like, who's like, oh, I got a spare
The
couch.
person who's burning it.
Oh man, I don't got couches like that to be giving up to people to burn for celebrations.
Listen,
No,
man, there's a lot of traditions that are kind of stupid and banal,
Yeah,
but
that's
people
one of
do it. You know what I mean?
I guess
It is.
it's just been one of those things where I never understood, sort of arson as a way to celebrate. You know, it's like, oh, let's just burn this. Hey, we about to
4th of
celebrate.
July, let's make explosions. you
Right, let's
know.
blow stuff up.
You know what I did love about campus was the night before final exams, everybody would just scream out the
Out the
window.
Yeah, that was pretty
midnight.
cool.
That was dope, man. Like I remember one person was yelling, "It's my money, I want it now," or "It's my degree, I want it now."
See, that's a safe tradition, right? That's something
Right.
you can theoretically do without causing damage to property.
I tell you
That's
one
fine.
thing. My first time experiencing it, we were just walking home, me and my friend, and all of a sudden we heard screams. We was like, "Oh my God,
Like,
it's
no-
here! The end of the world
The
is
apocalypse.
here!" But then we figured out, oh, it's the exam scream.
You hear the trumpet playing in the distance and then stuff blowing up.
Right.
You know? But what do y'all think about like when sports teams win championships and these people come out and just like flip over cars and burn down?
That's just
Buildings.
stupid shit, man.
That's
I
too
mean,
much energy to put into something that has nothing to do with you.
especially if you
Yeah.
won.
Too much
if you
pride.
won,
Right, yeah, that's true. Like why?
I mean, if you're happy, like do something internally. Just,
Yeah.
like, do
like
drugs.
cheer.
Drugs.
Oh, no, we do not condone the use of drugs. here.
Listen to your favorite song and dance it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
Like,
just jump up and down like, "Yay, we won."
yeah.
Post something on Facebook.
Like
no,
I always used to make fun of my dad. He'd always get super pissed at the Lions, which
we all
are
do.
you not used to doing this by now?
Right.
See,
But
Does
every
he have
single
hair?
time, does
Did-
my dad have hair?
Put it all
no,
up.
Oh,
He
okay.
don't have hair.
but
He's
listen, man,
They
you
make-
know,
little tiny freckled ginger man.
that's a self-admitted oblivion, though. Lions fans, like me and Eric was talking, man. You know,
Yeah.
he's a Lions apologist. He
I
knows.
no, they actually they played well. They played well the last game. We won.
See what I mean?
But yeah, he would get mad like every time they messed something up. He would just like and like
Yeah.
want to throw something, and I'm like, but
But I
what
understand.
is this doing to ruin your life or your day? Why are you?
But it's
spending-
because the investment that you have, like the emotional connections that you put into these teams, it's like being a part. Like you're literally a part of the team in some cases. It feels.
But you're not.
you're not. Yeah.
I mean,
Listen, man, this is your intervention right now.
This
You're
isn't a
not.
relationship where your partner does something that pisses you off. You have every
No.
right to take it out on something, but
Not my car. Don't
this
fly
is
car.
this is not.
I just think that
It's the
people,
Lions.
again, people love sports. At least in the United States, we love our sports so much that we watch it religiously. This is people's church. Like every Sunday they watching
Mhm.
football all day.
Religiously.
And so when you're that invested in something, it just becomes a part of you, and it's just sort of when they win, you excited, you're gonna celebrate. When they lose, you're gonna cry and feel the pain. But I just think it can be unhealthy, and I think burning or tearing down the city when you win a championship, that's stupid. But I can understand why people get so excited. Like imagine if the Lions won a championship, the Super Bowl.
I
I'm going downtown
We
and
go
I'm
crazy, but we I don't think we.
Yeah.
Man,
on,
downtown
man.
was a glorious
I'd
place
clap.
when the Pistons won.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
did a great job of celebrating. It was
Detroit basketball. I can still remember that chant.
Like Jefferson was packed, like,
Yeah.
and people were like getting out of their cars, like celebrating. Like it was a glorious time when
And it
they
was-
won the championship in 04.
and it was done in a clean way. Nothing burned down. Nobody destroyed
Yeah,
property.
I don't think we'd act up like that.
Nah, we smarter than that. No, I was looking Philadelphia. They had the greased light poles, and because they know people were going to jump on it, tear it down. Yeah.
What do you put on? Wait, what? They put Crisco on?
I think they put Crisco on the lipos. Yeah, some type of Vaseline type substance.
That's funny, man. I like to see somebody try to tear that down.
I was
They
like,
just
oh,
climb up,
man.
sliding down.
I was ashy when I got on here. Now I'm moisturized.
Right. But I'm
I
telling you,
feel so violated.
when the Lions win the Super Bowl, y'all coming down with me? Yo, we down there. We down there celebrating
I
Ford
mean,
Field.
We're gonna
yeah,
be in
cool.
Detroit
We're just
for
gonna
a
have
while.
a party for Eric.
Right.
Like Eric, your faith has perceived you. Like great.
Like, hey man, I can't
Good job,
party. I
man.
can't party that much. I got a bad back now. You know, it's been some
Dude,
time.
Yeah.
no.
We're gonna be old.
My daughter would have been
Listen.
graduated from college by then.
I'm about to turn 29, and let me tell you,
29.
you're gonna hit that point because you just turned what, 25?
You're 20 years away from 50.
Oh god.
25 years
Fuck
away from
up.
50. Do the math.
That's disrespectful. No.
Right. People said that to me, but you wake up and like I've never had a stiff neck before. I have a stiff neck every other week now. And I'm like,
Yeah,
why is my life like this now? This wasn't like this like 8 to I don't know,
You
5
got a
years
bad
ago.
back. You got a bad bed, sister.
I have old man knees. Like I can't walk the stairs. I can't. It's hard. So I
can't do
understand.
anything
Is
anymore.
this what we've come to in our
Yeah,
last
when
10
you-
minutes?
When you hit,
Yeah.
yes.
I just want to like
We airing our
kill your
grievances right now.
dreams a little bit.
Because I know you're still young. You know, 25. You got your whole life ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
Do I?
You know, us when we're closer to 30.
Man, fuck all y'all. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, we got.
I was waiting for her to get mad. I was
Shannon
waiting
getting
for her
mad
to get
over here.
mad.
Shannon, you
My
only, you only
knees are
28.
awesome.
Shannon, you only 28.
I am 33, and my knees are great.
Well, that's 'cause,
I
you know,
run. I ran 3 miles the other day.
Oh, you
I
have
wish
more
mine were
energy
good.
than I do.
for real.
I just work.
He said, man,
work.
fuck all
I
y'all.
work, I work to live with like 2 other people and just to eat. And I'm just like, I'm just tired of all this. What am I doing?
I have to work
Might
out to
dip
take
out.
a break from Jordan.
Oh, that's
yeah,
why
you
you.
have a
So you tell
child,
us now.
too.
I have to work out.
That's your escape plan. You're like, all
I
right.
have to leave her swim practices to maintain our relationship.
That makes sense.
That's the way it goes.
Because I be ready to jump in that water even though I can't swim. Like, what you doing?
Like, get it together.
get it
Like, what-
together. Like, you supposed to do your flip turn and then push off the wall. Like, what you doing? You playing?
See, that's gonna be our next time. We got to talk about the soccer helicopter moms and dads and
A
No, that makes
lawnmower
me think of
parent.
that.
Lawnmower-
We could
There's
get-
that Vine where that little girl's trying to read WHO. It's WHO.
yeah.
And she'd be like, what?
What?
And like her mom would just be like, no, Anaya, what does that say? What? No. Like, it's frustrating trying to teach someone like that.
We should talk on it. We should talk
Yeah,
on
we
it.
will next time.
Yeah, definitely. Is that?
Is it that time?
Is
What's
it that?
going on?
It
Is that
is.
time?
Oh,
Y'all, this has been a
Well, we didn't put
Interesting-
Randy to sleep.
yeah,
Right.
Randy's just distracted. He's like,
This-
I really like this.
this conversation
No,
diverged
it's
into
fine.
multiple
I
lanes, but
left at one point. I was like, well, I'm not part of this one, so I'm just going to go.
yeah, but thank y'all for listening.
This is our new
again.
format. Like and share.
Like and share, like and share.
All right. You didn't want it to end or what?